on Always and Forever, we have an awesome guest. She's one of my greatest role models, Courtney Sexton, who was Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen 2008 and Miss Florida 2016. And I'm so excited for y'all to hear from her today and hear her journey to the Miss Florida crown.
Hannah, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. This has been a blessing to get to chat with you, and I'm so excited for what you're doing for the program. And these videos are going to be a part of your legacy. So I'm so excited to be a part, and thank you so much for letting me speak with you.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. So can you introduce yourself and share what made you decide to compete in the Miss Florida program?
Of course. So as you said, I'm Courtney Sexton Davis, so kind of newly married, I guess kind of new. I'm still holding on to the newlywed scene because it was so much fun and such a special day. But I was Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen 2008 and Miss Florida 2016. And the reason why I got into competing is because of the incredible women and young girls that I saw compete before me. I have two awesome sisters, Brittany and Lindley, who actually chose to get into pageants before me, really were my role models. And it's them and their friends that I got to see in competing and how much fun it was, and getting to meet your best friends in pageants, but also getting to see the journey after they won. And that year of service, they were able to give back, seeing from them as local title holders and their friends who were Miss Florida's and Miss Florida's Outstanding Teens. It was just like, I knew I needed to get involved. I was a young girl who had a heart to want to serve and to want to give back, but didn't always have the opportunity, didn't have the thing that would get me to the event. I always wanted to be involved in things, but I didn't know how. Well, what better way than to have a crown and that purpose of, hey, you'd rather have Courtney, who's Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen in an event, you get the invitations more often. And so it was my opportunity to give back. And also the scholarship money. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to start out going to a 4-year university, and I knew it was going to cost. And so I knew if I wanted to go to college and pay for it on my own, pageants were going to help me get there. So kind of just a mixed mode of a lot of things, but I'm so grateful I did.
So looking back in your year as Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, what was one of your most memorable appearances?
Well, one, it was so long ago, but I have to say there's one memory that I don't think will ever leave my heart, and I hope it doesn't, because now looking back, I think back to that, it was one of my first appearances as Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen, because it was still the same process as how it is today, of like when you win, your main focus is going to Miss America's Outstanding Teen. I think it was like a month I had in between, so not many appearances, but once I got back from Miss America's Outstanding Teen, I got to go to a radiothon by the Children's Miracle Network, and it was at Shands in Gainesville. And so day one was a radiothon, and I got to answer the phones. And at that time, being a 15-year-old, I had never seen that much money raised at an event. So I felt like I was contributing to such an incredible organization, to such an incredible goal. I felt finally a part of it. And so day one was so rewarding. But then day two came, which is kind of cool because not many appearances are always like 1 day, 2 day. And so second day came around, and it was all about the kids. It was all about a fun crafting day with the kids. And it makes me smile ear to ear because I'm thinking about this sweet girl that I met, this tiny, young, blonde-headed girl. I can literally still picture her to this day, wrapped in her cute little crafting robe. She didn't get her clothes, dirty, and we bonded right away. I think her and I probably spent the whole day together. From what I remember, that's how I see it. Is we met. She gravitated towards the crown. I gravitated towards her and her journey that she was dealing with in the hospital, and it just got into my heart. We crafted all day. We laughed all day. Her dad showed up and was involved too, with my mom, and so we were just like having this fun moment. And then, it was just so incredible to like be able to have an appearance where you got to raise the money and got to feel involved and got to feel like you were helping, but then to have that moment of just like fun with and knowing you're making a difference in her life. Like, I hope to this day that she looks back at that day, and I hope that day had some spark in her, because it's what made me want to get involved in healthcare as my career, is all that work I did with the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. But it's also what like started my love for serving others. Like, at that day, I realized how much the crown can impact and how much the crown can change someone's day. And so like from that moment, I was like, I'm gonna do this more often. I want to be the Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen who is involved. Yes, it's great to be speaking on the mic, and yes, it's great to, you know, have, you know, photo opportunities and things like that. But I was like, I want to be the Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen who serves, because that's what I love the most. And yeah, I'll never forget that appearance. It was very, very special, very special.
Yeah, it's so cool to see the crown. You served as a megaphone for what you're passionate about, and also to make a difference in someone's day, brighten up their day, and it can truly impact someone's life, really change it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's where it's like, I don't know if she remembers that day. I mean, realistically, she was very young, so I don't know, but I saw the power of the crown, how there was potential. And looking back as my time as a teen, and even as a time as a miss, people still reach out and will say, hey, you came to my high school. I remember you, you know, it made me want to do this. And it's just feeling that you're able to empower others, or even just to brighten their day. Like, that's so special. You don't get to do that in a lot of jobs and in a lot of other roles in life. And so as a title holder, you have that power. And like, that's what I love the most, is ultimately having that power to brighten someone's day and to, you know, change something for the better.
Yeah, so speaking of your year as Miss Florida 2016, can you share a little bit about your journey to the Miss Florida crown, and what was your greatest takeaway from your year of service?
So my journey to Miss Florida, I have to say, was very different than my journey preparing for teen. I think the teen pageant was just either very different and not as intense as it is now, or I just wasn't, because I had no idea what I was doing. So my journey as a teen was more calm. I was dancing every day. I was, you know, so I felt like I had all the tools that I needed to go into the pageant. As a miss, that's very different. I was in college. I was focused on my sorority and other things. And then there was also this pageant I was participating in, and I wanted to do my best and be my best. And so it took a lot of extra time and effort. I did a ton of mock interviews. I was dancing constantly. I made it my goal. And I think when we set our goals, we just need to work towards them every day. And so that's what I did. I worked really hard. And just like I did in teen, I didn't win until my second year competing. And then in Miss, I didn't win until my second year competing again. So I always say it takes me kind of a one run to learn what I need to do to get comfortable. And in that second year, I think I found my comfortability. I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted. And I think a big part of was prepping for Miss Florida. Did a lot of prep. And then what was the second part of your question? I'm sorry, I missed that.
What was your greatest takeaway from your year as Miss Florida?
Oh, greatest takeaway. I'd say definitely like going back to what I said before of that, your ability to make a difference. And the biggest takeaway I think that I got after my year of Miss Florida was that was a year that I'll never get that opportunity again. The opportunity to dedicate 24/7, every hour, every minute of my day to serving others and to giving back. And though I would love to do it again, in the sense of if I could find something that would allow me to do that and have that glamorous life, but you got to find a job, you got to get out into the world, you got to do other things. And so I think I just realized at the end that, like, wow, that was one special year that changed my life, changed other people's lives, and I'm just so grateful for it. I think that's why I encourage so many others to compete, is because like how much I gained and how much like I'm the person I am now because of teen, because of Miss, just because of the Miss Florida organization. Like, and the bond and the sisterhood, just everything that encompasses it. It's such a special year.
Yeah. It's such a special organization, and you're able to meet so many amazing people through it. And so something that I think is so cool about both of your year as teen and miss is that you broke the record for the most appearances. So what made you decide to go after that goal?
Yeah, so when I was a teen, it was kind of a common thing. Past Miss Florida's had done it, had set goals, and I remember sitting in the pageant, and that was one of the things that was announced after, when you're giving up your crown and they're talking about, the year that the Miss Florida or the Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen had, they would mention that, this Miss Florida broke the record and did 100 appearances or did a certain number. And I thought, wow, what a great way to stamp your legacy. And also something that was big when I was a teen was the conversation of what will your legacy be? That was embedded in us as a contestant from day one, that you need to be thinking about what you want your stamp to be. That when people look back on your year, what's going to be different? And and it's okay to be the same as other people, but I was like, I want to stand out. I want to have something that shows who I am. And so I remember sitting around the table with all of my family at a dinner. Every night was dinner, family time. Let's talk through everything. And I remember my sisters and my mom and dad telling me, all right, Courtney, what's going to be your legacy? Figure out what's going to make you unique and why you're wanting to do this. And I was just like, okay, remember guys, I'm only like 15 over here. Like, I don't know. And I remember my sister saying, calm down, like, don't worry about it, because your legacy should be about you and should be what shows your heart. It doesn't have to meet a certain standard. It doesn't have to be something that someone wants to put on a billboard one day. It's something that at the end of the year, you're going to be proud of. And I thought, and I said, I think, like, I want to serve. I'm doing this so I can volunteer. I'm doing this so I can give back. I'm doing this so that I can change people's lives, so I can make a difference. And I think it was like my mom or dad who said, well, then you need to get out in the community. We need to get you out to appearances. We need to get you involved. If that's the reason why you're competing, we got to get you out there. And then we started realizing that what better legacy than to showcase, my heart, and what I wanted was by hitting a goal of a number. And so I don't remember my number as teen. My mom was actually trying to help me figure it out yesterday. But as a Miss and as Miss Florida, I did over 300 appearances, which had never been done before. And so I was just, once I did it as teen, I kind of knew that that's what I wanted my legacy as a Miss to be as well. And I highly recommend setting some goal for your legacy for any title holder coming up or going to compete next year, just because it gives you that purpose. And so I knew my goal, and I was like ready to start working like day one.
Yeah, I know that me a lot hearing your story. So New York City, working as a business exec for the HCI Group, and I know you recently got married. So if I were to come to New York City, what 3 spots would you say I absolutely have to see?
Okay, this is my favorite question, because though I am a true Floridian at heart, I like to consider myself a New Yorker right now, because I love the city so much. So feel free, anytime you want to come, you can come stay with me. I'd love to show you around. But the 3 spots, first I would take you to Central Park, because it is hands down the greatest park in the world. It is so beautiful, and there's so many things to do. So if you go, I highly recommend stop by a deli, stop by a quick restaurant, grab takeout, take it to Central Park, eat, and just watch all the New York excitement. It's one of those places where you'll feel like a New Yorker, even if you're a transplant. And second place is Brooklyn Bridge. Highly recommend walking from the Manhattan side to the Brooklyn side, or vice versa, depending on where you are, because one, it's a great walk, beautiful scenery. You get to see the Statue of Liberty, you'll get to see the Manhattan Bridge, you'll get to see all these beautiful buildings that have such a historical stamp on New York. But also, there's something about walking under those arches that were built so many years ago that just makes you feel like I belong, I'm a part. I am New York. And so I've done that walk, I think, with almost everyone who's come into town to visit, because it's just been so much fun. And if you're walking from the Manhattan side to the Brooklyn side, when you're done, take a turn to the right and you'll find these awesome like outdoor restaurants, and you just get to have a snack and just relax after this long walk. I will admit it's a long walk, but you get to kind of see the glory of what the Brooklyn Bridge is up close, and it's very, very beautiful. And then third, I think it's probably everybody's, is you have to hit a Broadway show. There's always something to meet everyone's loves and interests, you know, whether you want to see a musical or a play. And I'll also say Broadway's great and it's wonderful, and I think every show is fabulous that I've ever seen, but don't discount off-Broadway shows. As someone who's lived in New York now for about 2 years, I would say some of the best shows I've seen have been off-Broadway. So be open to the Broadway experience and all that it encompasses.
Okay, those are so fun. Now I want to come to New York City. I want to come.
Come on, girl.
So now
maybe find you some appearances up in New York.
Let's do it. I love New York. It's so pretty up there. So now I have some questions that I like to ask every guest that's on Always and Forever. And the first one is, who is one of your favorite forever Miss Floridas and or Miss Americas?
This is a very easy question for me, back to the first question of why I started competing. And one of the big people and role models in my life is Allison Grieger Walsh. Not only because I knew her kind of before the pageant scene, her and my older sister were Gatorettes together at UF. So got to build a bond with her even like before the Miss Florida side of things happened. But when she became Miss Florida, it was like she kind of took our family on that journey with her. We were involved. We got to see her appearances. We got to see the incredible impact she was making. And so I choose her because she's one of the people who's just influenced me from the start to the end. I think she had an incredible year. She changed the organization after her year. And like, she was the one who showed me that like, I can make a change through Miss Florida's outstanding team. And so still to this day, I look up to her and just see her as such a great role model. And like, that's what the Miss Florida organization's about, is what's great. And I think that separates us from other organizations or for other pageants out there in the world is the Miss Florida organization is forever. The Miss Florida Outstanding Teen organization is forever. The women that you're following and falling in love with and, you know, wanting to be your role model while they're a title holder, they go on to do incredible things. They become the boss lady in what they do. And that's why I think it's so easy to find your role models in a Miss Florida, because it's not just that 1 year of a journey that is incredible. It's everything they accomplished after that. And Allison has definitely done that.
Oh my gosh, she's made such a lasting legacy and has continued to stay involved.
Yes.
So what was your—
I can do too. I think she set the tone for the Forevers being involved and staying connected. And so I really appreciate her for that.
Oh, absolutely. So what was your favorite area of competition when you were competing for teen and then for Miss?
Very different, that's for sure. As a teen, it was definitely evening gown. Because when you're 14, 15 years old, when I competed for my 2 years, it's like, how often are you in the most beautiful gown? And I was very lucky. I had my dream gown as a teen from Regalia. It was this blue strapless, small beads in the waistline. It was just so simple, and I felt on top of the world every time I put that dress on. I remember throughout my year asking my parents, do you think they'll let me wear my Regalia gown to the appearance? And Mom's like, you're going to a 4K. I don't think they want to see you in your evening gown when you're about to walk all that miles. And I loved it so much. So evening gown was definitely my favorite as a teen. And then as I got older, you know, though I loved my evening gown, I think it's a very special part of competition. But as I got older, I think my interest evolved, and then it kind of switched to interview. I think because I put so much importance on the interview competition. I felt that it was my first opportunity with the judges. It was the first opportunity to show them like who I was. And so I think that's where I found my love. So just this small evolve, but both still remain my favorite.
Yeah. So what's your best piece of pageant advice for girls who are going to be competing for the titles of Miss Florida and Miss Florida's Outstanding Teen?
I love this question because everyone's answer is so different because everyone's experience is different. And for me, I would say if you're competing, find inner peace, find calm, and do whatever you need to do to get there before the pageant, and a few days before the pageant. And for me, that meant that every phase of competition needed to be muscle memory. That, you know, when I walked into that interview, I was so used to speaking that even if I didn't know I always joke, like, even if I didn't know the answer, I was so confident in myself that I would say, well, I don't know that now, but I'm going to tell you, as soon as we're out of here, I'm going to Google it, figure it out, and I'll have my answer. So if you want to ask me after the pageant, you know, but it's just having that muscle memory. And so for me, I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until a few days before the pageant where I just felt I've done everything I can do. And then going into that pageant with peace and understanding that no matter what, I'm going to do my best. And hey, things happen and things, you know, will always come up, being that stress. I remember being backstage as a teen and as a miss and seeing so many girls worry and being so scared to step on that stage. And now looking back, I wish someone would have just said, well, if you're nervous about being on stage, go practice on a stage. Go practice in front of people. Like, get over all your fears before you hit that stage. So when the judges see you, when the judges meet you, you have a calm about you. And I always, when I competed my first years as Teen Miss, I remember seeing that in the winner. And the girl that won my first year, I remember seeing that calmness and seeing them kind of just like be a little different. Because everyone's always worried and always stressed, but I think when you're able to just relax, you're able to enjoy, you're able to actually be your best. And, you know, hopefully it'll work out. It did for me. So tell everyone to just stay calm.
Love that. Such great advice. So how can people keep up with you on social media?
So I do have an Instagram and a Facebook. I think on Facebook, I'm Courtney Sexton Davis, just because so many people know me by my maiden name. And then on Instagram, I think I'm Courtney Davis. And feel free, I think you have to like, my page might be private before you can see it, but add me, shoot me a message, kind of let me know who you are. And I'd love to stay connected with all those that are following you. And any other contestants or future contestants or people who are thinking about getting involved, I'm happy to have a discussion with them as well. So if you want to reach out to me and stay involved, please do.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I loved being able to talk with you and hear some great moments from your years as Teen and Miss, and I know that people are going to be really inspired by it.
Oh, well, thank you so much, but I think we all know who everyone's truly getting inspired by, and that's you. You have taken this time, even in the quarantine, to still shine and to build onto your legacy and to make a difference in people's lives. Even though we all have to be distant, you said, you know, I don't have to be distant. I can get into people's homes through video. And I think that is so incredible. And I think what you're doing is awesome. I cannot wait to see what your year holds. You and Michaela both, y'all, though you got this second year, and I know it's under weird circumstances, but I know you two are going to make the best out of it. Both of your legacies are going to be something that people talk about for years and years to come. You got great things ahead, girl.
I know that means so much to me, and Michaela would say the same because we both really look up to you, and we really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I love you, girl. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, let's stay connected. I look forward to chatting more.